Regal Pale, one of America's two great beers, and the high-flying, fun-loving Regal Bird bring you now Ozark Jubilee.
It's time for the Ozark Jubilee, starring America's favorite country gentleman, Red Foley.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My goodness. Wow, what a wonderful crowd we got here tonight. My goodness, I think most of the people are already out in their Easter garments here. I know that things must be kind of rushed around your house with everybody getting ready for a real big day tomorrow, but we do hope that you can find time now to sit down and relax and visit with all of us here at the Ozark Jubilee. And first of all, we'd like to sort of do a little number especially for all you kiddies, so come in real close, and here is a tune called Peter Cottontail, if I can remember now. Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail, hippity-hoppity, Easter's on its way, bringing every girl and boy baskets full of Easter joy, things that make your Easter bright and gay. He's got jelly beans for Tommy, colored eggs for Sister Sue. There's an orchid for your mommy, and an Easter bonnet too. Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail, hippity-hoppity, happy Easter day. Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail. Look at him stop and listen to him say. Try to do the things you should, make it prove you extra good. He'll roll a lot of Easter eggs for you. You wake up on Easter morning and you know that he was there. When you find those chocolate bunnies that he's hiding everywhere. Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail, hippity-hoppity, happy Easter day. Thanks so much, Steve. Okay, everybody's in wonderful spirits tonight. One of the boys pointed out that I had a guitar pick in here, that it might make it sound bad, and I thought, well, if they just knew how I play guitar. All kidding aside, tomorrow is one day when all of the moving picture cowboys sort of have to take a back seat to a little old fellow by the name of Peter Rabbit in the hearts of all the kids around the nation. Seriously, for the sake of the handicapped youngsters that need your help, I hope that you send in your contribution for your Easter seals. We hope, too, that you folks around Columbia, South Carolina especially, will help out on the big Crippled Children's Telethon on WCOS-TV, which we are very proud to be coming through and visiting with you folks over there. Now, to get on with what we planned, and we've got a lot of singing and picking for you tonight. What we got planned for you in the way of music, here is a very special guest of ours with a special song that he and Mr. Pee Wee King wrote and recorded, and in my estimation, the song ranks among the great tunes of this nation and will be what you might call a standard some of these days. Friends, here is our good friend Red Stewart, and the song I'm sure you will remember.
I was waltzing with my darling to the Tennessee waltz when an old remember the night and the Tennessee Waltz. Now I know just how much I have lost. Yes, I lost my little darling the night that we're playing the beautiful Tennessee Waltz. I remember the night and the Tennessee Waltz. Now I know just how much I have lost. Yes, I lost my little darling the night that we're playing the beautiful Tennessee Waltz.
Yes, sir, that one will go down in history. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hey, little bow.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Red, it sure is wonderful to be here to visit
Thank you, Red. You know, I couldn't hardly see you over here in the dark. I had them put you over here so you wouldn't look too good, you know.
I think I know you better than that.
No, sir, Red, I think I've heard this somewhere, that the state of Tennessee had officially accepted that Tennessee Waltz as their state song. Is that right?
Well, I wish I could confirm it. The last news I have is that it's being put before the legislature, and we hope that it happens real soon.
Well,
it may have happened already. I'm not sure.
I do know that Governor Browning practically got elected down there in Tennessee singing that song, and another very dear friend of mine that has called me about 3 times since we've had our new television show, Governor Frank Clemens.
You know Mr. Clemens?
Yeah.
How about putting in a good word? Maybe you'll be sure to make it.
Well, we just might do that. We're trying to get him to come up here for our official opening. That is, we call it official, our big opening in Springfield at the, what do you call that thing when you have a, premiere. Yeah,
Premiere.
That's what I was trying to think of, premiere. I haven't had many premieres, you know, so I'll tell you, I just think it'd be a good idea, though, for you and I right now to have a little convention of redheads. Don't you think so?
You mean there's some more besides
yeah, Red
us?
Stewart, Red Foley. Meet Red Slattery here.
Well, hello,
Red?
Mr. Flattery.
Glad to see you,
Flattery.
Red.
Flattery. Flattery will get you someplace.
Slattery, yeah. This is
that,
Red
Red?
Stewart.
Red, glad to see you, Red.
Glad to know you,
My name's
Red.
Red Foley.
Red, I'm glad to be here, Red. Say, Red, if you and Red, if you two Reds don't, if you're ready, I'd like to say something right now. Is it all right? Friends, we're going to pick up right where we're leaving off, and when we return, we're going to have more country music fun for you. Just a moment.
Hi, folks. Got a letter here from a Regalbird watcher who writes, Dear Jim Nars, I took your advice and bought a nest of Regalbird eggs. I've been sitting on them for a whole week, and not one Regalbird has hatched out. And it's signed Plum Tired. Well, Plum Tired, you are plumb confused. You see, our foamy friend here lays these fresh, cold Regalbird eggs not for hatching, but for down the hatching. Now, my advice to you is to get up, crack open this shiny shell, and then you just simply pour the cool, carefree contents into, well, a large-size egg cup like this. And, my friend, when your cup runneth over with joy and Regal Pale, you'll be just plumb grateful to the Brewbird of Happiness for feathering your nest with the fun and flavor of Regal Pale, one of America's 2 great beers.
Well, sir, if you folks have been visiting with us about every Saturday night, you know that square dancing is a very important part of our little get-together, and right now it's square dancing time, friends. Here are the Missouri Ramblers from Marshfield, Missouri over here. So, boys, let's have the fiddle. Here's the dancers. Get them started, you can't hardly get them stopped. There's one of them in there that sure reminds me of one of the little tadpoles, that real limber one in there. He just... Oh, that's great, I'll tell you. Well, sir, I imagine by now that you folks know who Pete Stamper is. I hope so, because we've been getting some mighty favorable comments about a young man by the name of Pete Stamper. Old Pete got a big thrill last week meeting our guest, Smiley Burnett. Now, let's see what he has on his mind tonight. Here he is, our ambassador of goodwill, Pete Stamper.
I bet y'all couldn't guess in the month of Sundays who I had visiting me this week down here at, I don't care to tell you who it was. Cliff Haskins and Lee Earl High Singers, who it was, from down home. And, well, I was about as surprised as I ever was, because they're two fellers that I never figured would get out of the county. Especially across the line there and over out of Kentucky. In fact, when they got here, Lee was telling me that he didn't realize Kentucky was as big as it was. Said if the other half was as big as the one that they'd went across, there's no wonder Daniel Boone discovered it. But they just don't get around too much. The one thing, they've got a business, or had a business down home there that kind of kept them tied down. They were dealers in ginseng and mayapple root. And, in fact, that's how I got acquainted with them.
What, no sassafras?
I think penicillin's about to put that out of business. But that's the way I got acquainted with them. I've dug at that stuff like a dog snorting in a mole hole to get enough money to kind of put me through a good Saturday in town. I used to sack it up, dig it all week and sack it up, get me a dozen eggs, go in there and get cash out of my mayapple roots and get a due bill for my eggs and go to show and the bottle pop and really had the thing licked there. In fact, I've had all week meeting people. Last week, Red Stewart tonight, and last week, Smiley Burnett. I got to ask Smiley a question that I'd always wanted to know about that ring-eyed horse that he's got, whether the ring around his eye is painted on there or if it's really growed there. We had a horse down home not too awful long ago that when we first got it, it was blind in one eye, in his right eye, and we kept it a while, and finally he went blind in his left eye, and his sight come back in his right, and it wasn't too long until he went blind again in his right eye, and his sight come back in his left, and in fact it changed around there so much, got some confused. We had to mark his good eye to let him know which side he was seeing out of. It's pretty easy to teach an old horse new tricks, but you just can't hardly break them from their old ones. We had one we used there at the Lasses mill. Well, ever since he was big enough to work, we kept him there, going in circles. In fact, you couldn't lead him in the barn to save your life. You had to kind of start at the side of it and just seiner him in, down like that. He'd work clockwise all of his life. And one day there, a feller down home, it was Rob Penley's who it was, he borrowed him for his mill, and it worked the other direction, and they hooked him up backwards, and before they knowed it, he done ground well, he'd done ground quite a bit of that cane. But I enjoyed talking to Smiley, but you can't get acquainted with a person just right off the bat like that. You got to know them, you know, and because I don't know, just one person that I ever did get really acquainted with first time I met him, Mr. Ed over there. I ended up down at his house, and he asked me to stay for dinner, and of course, it's the first time I'd ever been there, and I was hungry, but I figured, well, I'll just put on the dog a little bit and not eat all I want. And so we sat down there, and I forgot what all he had for dinner, but I know he did have black-eyed peas and mashed potatoes. And I never was as glad to see potatoes in my life, because I never have got peas to stay on a fork without potatoes on there to hold them. And he had I was eating, and I was trying to eat slow, but I turned out I beat the rest of them anyway, and I figured, well, the dessert's sitting there, and I'll just start on it, and maybe they'll catch up with me. And it was a bowl of peaches, a little dessert bowl of peaches sitting there on my plate, and I just got it and put it over my plate and started eating. And I got 2 halves eat, and I was starting on the third, and I figured, well, I'd better, and this is true, too, I figured, well, I'd better look around and see how everybody else is getting along. And I looked from plate to plate, and there I sat with my bare face hanging out, eating out of the only bowl of peaches on the table there. And if you don't think that'll get you acquainted with the fella right real quick, you ought to try it. Well, I hope everybody has a good Easter, so...
What do you got in your hand there, Steve?
That's my shooting tall. You never know when you're going to get in the game. I'll see you. All right.
Pete, I tell you come on over to the house now, buddy. We got a whole peach orchard over there. Well, folks, we'll be back in just a minute, but right now it's somebody else's turn to do a little talking.
I know it's a little early for a picnic, but we got a whole basket full of goodies here, so why don't you just gather around, huh? Oh, we got some sandwiches and hard-boiled eggs, and I think we got some fried chicken. And some potato salad. And let me see here, some beans and turnip greens and chow chow and chili and peach pie and piccalilli and, well, I tell you personally, I think the most important thing is to make sure that you bring along plenty of Regal Pale Beer. Now, of course, some folks claim that since drinking Regal is more fun than a picnic, then you might want to just stay home in the first place. And, of course, well, you just never... I guess they're right at that. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. No matter where you go, you'll have more fun if you're drinking Regal Pale. So tonight, or on your way out tomorrow, stop in and treat yourself to the joy and jubilee of Regal Pale, one of America's 2 great beers.
Well, see, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I imagine a lot of you folks joined millions of others when they passed out the annual Emmy Awards for the top TV shows. Of course, we were real proud to see that one of ABC Network's shows, Disneyland, sort of walked away with a whole passel of awards. You know, I guess I'm about as big a fan of that show as any little boy or girl out there. And what's more, like everybody else, I have learned to love the tune that they introduced on Disneyland called Davy Crockett. Hey, talking about those awards, they said we was liable to get one, fellas, for the show Most Likely. They didn't finish it. Anyway, here is Slim Wilson and the Tall Timber Trio with a tune right now that everybody's singing called Davy Crockett.
In Tennessee, the greenest state in the land of the free. Raised in the woods, so he knew every tree. Killed him a bar when he was only 3. Davy, Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. In 1813, the creeks uprose, added redskin arrows to the country's woes. Now engine fighting is something he knows, so he shoulders his rifle and off he goes. Davy, Davy Crockett, the man who don't know fear. Through the woods he's a-marching along, making up yarns and a-singing a song, itching for fighting and righting the wrong. He's rangy as the bar and twice as strong. Davy, Davy Crockett, the buckskin buccaneer. When he come home, his politicking done. The Western March had just begun. He packed his gear and his trusty gun and lit out a grinning to follow the sun. Davy, Davy Crockett, leading the pioneer. His land is the biggest, his land is the best. Grassy plains to the mountain's crest. He's ahead of us all, meeting the test, following his legend into the west. Davy, Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. Davy, Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Thank you, boys. Thank you very much. Davy Crockett. Well, that is really the #1 tune of the country right now. We'd like to take you back to about number 1,000, one that we recorded some time ago, a tune that we've always enjoyed doing. Hope you remember one called Foggy River. Your love is colder than a foggy river, flowing o'er a heart of stone. You left me stranded on this foggy river, drifting helpless and alone. broken heart of mine. There's no freedom anymore. Oh, heaven help me on this foggy river. Help me find the distant shore.
Wonderful. You know, I'm a sunshine boy myself, but the way you sing Foggy River, it can cloud up any time at all, as long as you do that. Well, now, friends, for a little time well spent, we suggest you hear this.
You know, I was watching a television show the other night, and right at the very end, the announcer comes on and says, folks, if you enjoyed the show, go out and buy our sponsor's product. Well, that may be all right, but I'll tell you the honest truth. I got a hunch when you folks go out to buy Regal Pale, you do it because you enjoy Regal Pale beer. Now, of course, some of you may have tried it for the first time because you saw me or heard me mention it, sort of happened to mention it here on the show, but it's a cinch. You wouldn't go on drinking it if you didn't enjoy Regal Pale for itself alone. You know, the way Regal just bubbles over with life, the way, well, the cool, clean taste you get in every swallow, and that frisky feeling of fun and refreshment, that's what makes folks go for Regal Pale. And that's the only reason we hope that next time you'll ask for Regal Pale beer, one of America's 2 great beers. Here's to you. The makers of Regal Pale hope you'll join us again next week for Ozark Jubilee. And meantime, heed the call of the Regal Bird who says, drink Regal, drink Regal, drink Regal. Regal Pale, one of America's 2 great beers.
This is ABC Television Network.